Hey Stitches, it's your girl Kris. Welcome on into the channel if you are new to this space, or welcome back if you are an OG. So today I am about to talk your ears off about the Felicia custom fit dress from Ellie and Mac Patterns. Now, back in July when I was hosting the pattern hackathon, I had been sharing here on the channel videos each week based on the pattern hackathon category. And when I had gotten around to the size inclusive week, I went down the rabbit hole trying to find indie pattern companies that were considered size inclusive. Now, based on my understanding of what a size inclusive pattern was or is, it is a pattern that goes up to at least a 60-inch bust and or hip. And that led me straight to Ellie and Mac Patterns. Now, funnily enough, I hadn't heard of this pattern company before then. I don't know how come I hadn't discovered them before, but I guess the saying is true, better late than never. So fast forward to a couple weeks ago. One of the, I think she's an employee of the Ellie and Mac Pattern Company, reached out to me and invited me to choose a pattern from their website to sew up, and it would be gifted to me for free in exchange for a YouTube video. And you guys, I did not hesitate. I had known from the research that I had done that the Ellie and Mac catalog is quite big. They have, I think, at least 100 patterns, if I'm not mistaken. And I knew I could probably find something or a couple of things that I would like to sew up. And I decided to go with the Felicia custom fit dress. Now, there are two reasons I chose this dress pattern. One, because it has cup sizes, and that meant I would not have to do a full bust adjustment. And two, I'm trying to become a knit girly, you guys. I have been challenging myself this year to sew up more knit garments, and I figured if I had to do it in exchange for a video, then this pattern wouldn't just be sitting around. I do have other knit patterns in my stash, and they're pretty to look at, but I'm not really been that motivated to sew them up. But then, as I said, if I had to do this one, it would force me to use some knit fabric. But you guys, that did not go well, at least not in the beginning. And for some reason, your girl felt super brave and decided I wanted to sew up this pattern live here on YouTube. And within minutes of working on it, I wanted to give up, you guys. So if you want to see the complete fiasco that was that sewing live, then I'll drop the video in right here. You can go and have a couple of laughs. Watch this video first, see how well this dress turned out, and then you can go back and see just how difficult it was for me to get here. Now, before I start getting into all of that, let me share some basics about this pattern. So this Ellie and Mac pattern, like all of the Ellie and Mac patterns, goes from a size extra small up to a 6XL. And this particular pattern is accommodating a 67-inch hip. If I'm not mistaken, it goes up to about a 61-inch waist and about a 62 or 63-inch bust. How is that for size inclusivity? Definitely a pattern company who is showing up, showing off, and showing out. And we love to see it. If that were not enough, as I said, this is a custom cup size dress. And you might think, okay, maybe they have cup sizes A, B, C, and maybe D. But no, you guys. This pattern goes all the way up to an F cup. An F cup. That means those of you who have a difference, not a high bust difference, a difference between your high bust and full bust that is a 6-inch difference or less, won't need to do an FBA. Like, can we hear the sewing god singing, hallelujah? No, but for real, you guys, I am not averse to doing a full bust adjustment. In fact, I do a full bust adjustment on maybe like 85 or 90% of my patterns because I am a sewing C cup. Most patterns that I work with are drafted for a B cup, and notwithstanding that it's only an inch difference, I learned very, very early on in my sewing journey that that inch of a difference can make a big, big difference in how your garment fits you, how comfortable it feels, and how good it wears. And so I am a definite proponent for going ahead and adjusting your patterns. And so I do a full bust adjustment. And even when I'm working on a knit fabric, don't be fooled, you guys. I still go ahead and put in the effort adjusting those patterns. Point to note, this pattern. No, I did not sew up a toile of this pattern because, as I said, it's a knit fabric. And I have learned that all knit fabrics are not created equally. And if I wanted to do a toile of this dress, then I would have to use the same fabric or very, very similar fabric in order to do the toile that flip it properly, and then sew it all up again using my real fabric. Now, when you're working with a woven pattern, you can use muslin fabric in most cases, sew it up and get an idea of what the fit is going to look like before cutting in to your real fabric. But since that is not the case with knit fabrics, there is no way in hell your girl was going to make a toile of this dress. So what did I do? I went ahead and did some measurements. I measured the pattern pieces, I paid attention to the notations on the pattern and in the instructions, and yes, you guys, I did insert my instructions for this pattern because Ellie and Mac, as I said, is a completely new to me pattern company. So I wanted to get a feel for, what their instructions look like and how much information they provide in terms of the sizing. Once I had that down pat, I pull out my ruler, out, I trace them off. Yes, I trace my pattern pieces just in case I fudge it up and I need to redo it or something like that. Then I can preserve the original pattern. Patterns are way too expensive for me to muck up in that way. Anyways, I digress. Having measured my pattern pieces, I decided to go ahead and do a 1/4 inch sloping shoulder adjustment. Usually I do a 1/2 inch sloping shoulder adjustment, but based on the measurement that I got and the fact that this is drafted for a knit pattern that has at least 50% stretch on the grain line and on the cross grain, I thought, hey, maybe a 1/4 inch sloping shoulder adjustment would do the trick. And I'm really, really happy with how the shoulder line of this pattern looks on your girl. Now, in addition to that, I did go ahead and remove a 1/4 inch just from my front bodice piece only. This is like one of the pattern adjustments that I almost always have to do, you guys. I have forward rotated shoulders, and I find that removing a 1/4 inch from my front bodice piece only in most instances addresses my forward rotated shoulder quite nicely. Very, very rarely do I have to go back in and add that 1/4 inch adjustment to my back bodice to accommodate the length that I would have taken off from the front. That is how you do a typical forward shoulder adjustment. You remove the length in the front, you add it to the back so that you do not change the circumference measurement of the arm side. But I have found for my body, I don't know if it's because I have such terrible posture, that most times I can get away with just removing the length from the front. And that is exactly what I did in this pattern. Now, even though this is a knit dress pattern, guess what, guys? It has darts. And I'm not talking like just waist darts. It has bust darts, it has waist darts in the front, and it has waist darts in the back. Now, I was scratching my head for a minute. I was like, do knit patterns usually have so many darts? I'm not sure because I'm not a knit girly or I haven't been in the past. And so my knowledge of knit patterns and knit fabrics is quite limited, I will admit that, but I feel like it's genius. If all knit patterns don't have darts, then they probably need to, because the way that this pattern fits me across the bust line, it looks so, so good. At least it does, in my opinion. It's not stretching and pulling in any awkward ways. It has a nice shaping around the apex of the bust. And so yeah. All knit patterns probably need to have darts. Now, because it does have darts, and because my girls are not as perky as they once were, I did have to go ahead and lower my darts by a 1/2 inch. So I lowered my bust darts by a 1/2 inch, and I went ahead and lowered the waist darts by 1/2 inch as well. Otherwise, the waist darts would have come up too high, and the fullness that the dart would have released would have been over my bust instead of directed at my bust. And so yeah, I did go ahead and adjust both the bust stats and the waist stats just to make sure it fit the girlies quite nicely. And I'm really, really glad I did. Now, in addition to that, I did a 1/4 inch sway back adjustment because you know your girl has a deep curve in the center of her back. That means that if I don't do a sway back adjustment, I end up with fabric pooling at my center back, and that's not cute. That is definitely not cute. So if you have realized when you make your garments or when you buy your store-bought clothes that you have fabric that pulls right above your bum and right at the lower end of your back, right where it has a nice curve in your back, then it's probably likely that you need to go ahead and do this adjustment. If you don't know how to do it and you need a little bit of help, then I'll also be sure to go ahead and pop that video in right here. It is a really, really, really simple pattern adjustment. But again, another one that makes the world of a difference. Now, the final adjustment that I made for this pattern is I shortened the length of my bodice by 1/2 inch. Now, this pattern was drafted for a side waist of 8 inches, and my side waist is about 7.5 inches. I was really, really excited to see that Ellie and Mac had included this information on their pattern. I don't think I come across this information very, very often in patterns. And I was like, woohoo! Another win for Ellie and Mac patterns. That meant I did not have to do any measurements. I simply did the mathematical deduction. 8 inches minus 7.5 inches equals 1/2 inch, and went ahead and did that 1/2 inch length adjustment. And it means that the seam where my bodice joins to my skirt fits quite snugly in the curvature of my waist. Point to note, your girl does not have a very demarcated waistline, and I look for any excuse at all to accentuate the smallest part of my body. It just gives me a little bit more of a pleasing shape in my opinion. And so I was happy that I could make this adjustment without doing any measurements at all. So yeah, I did raise it by 1/2 inch. Now those are all the fitting adjustments that I needed to ramble off about. So now let's talk about the views that this pattern comes in and the view that I decided to make up. Now this pattern has 2 different neckline options. There is a high V-neck and then there is a low V-neck. Now you guys already know that it is freaking hot where I live, and in any event, I like to show a little bit of skin in an elevated and classy way, but skin nonetheless. And so I went ahead and did the deeper V neckline, and I love it, you guys. I love that it exposes my neck and just a little bit of my collarbone, and I love a collarbone. I just think that is the epitome of sexy, but the V is not too deep so as to show off too much cleavage and make me uncomfortable. Now the pattern also has 3 different hemlines. It has a mini length, it has a knee length, and then it has a midi length. Now, I decided to do the knee length option only because I did not have enough of the fabric that I had on hand in order to do the midi length. I was toying with the idea of doing the midi length because I don't know, I guess my girl Diana has been wearing on me that a midi length is elevated chic, and I'm trying to embrace that a little bit more. Usually I like to show some more leg, and so I typically go for patterns that are just above my knee. But as I said, I've been trying out new things this year, and that is also one of the things that I have been trying, embracing a longer skirt length. But my fabric would not let me be great, and so I went ahead and did the knee length option. Now, even though I did the knee length option, it does fall a little bit higher on me, I suppose, because this pattern is drafted for somebody who is 5'6". I am 5'8.5", and I made no adjustments to the length of the skirt. If I did, then it would probably fall right at my knee line as the pattern contemplates, but I didn't because I was just like, is that really, really necessary? It's a circle skirt. It means I will have to put a long old line through my circle skirt to lengthen it, and I really couldn't be bothered, so I just didn't do it. But I am happy with the finished length. It did mean that instead of doing a 1/2 inch hem allowance, I did a baby hem, you guys. I did a 1/4 inch hem allowance, so my skirt is, I guess, a 1/4 inch longer than the pattern was drafted for, but it's not a big deal to me. And when I put in my pictures or my videos or whatever, then you guys will get a better idea of where the skirt lands. Now, talking about the skirt, it also has an option to do a full front skirt and a full back skirt, or to do a split front to allow for a side slit up above the leg. You guys, sing with me once again for Ellie and Mac patterns. I love a slit moment, you guys. I love it. I love to be able to flash a little bit of leg. Now, my one drawback is my split ended up over my left leg as opposed to over my right leg. And I tend to pop my right leg. Now, I thought I had cut it out correctly. I thought I had seen to cut out the pattern pieces facing up and the fabric facing up. But when I go through and look up some of the pictures, it seems like the split is actually over the right leg and not the left leg. So perhaps it's user error why my split ended up on the wrong side. It's not a deal breaker for me. I'm still going to wear this dress, but I really would have preferred if my split was on the right side, which would have been over my right leg. Now, I ended up doing the sleeveless version of this dress. It does have an option to do long and short flutter sleeves, and it also has the option to do, what is that called? You know that bell sleeve kind of look? Oh, a flounce. That's it. It also has the option to do long and short flounces. Again, my fabric would not let me be great. And because the skirt pieces are like a circle skirt, it did eat up quite a bit of my fabric. And I just did not have enough in order to cut out either the flounce or the flutter. And so I did it without and ended up doing the sleeveless version. Again, that doesn't bother me. It is really hot here. And so if I can get ear in all my parts, why not? What's the problem? Maybe next time I make this dress and there is a high likelihood that I'll try this pattern again, I will aim to be able to do at least the flutter sleeve. I'm not sure if I'm into the big old flounce, but I definitely did like how the flutter sleeve looked. Now, one other thing that prevented me from even like finagling my fabric to see if I could eke out the flutter was that this particular fabric, you can see the underside of the fabric and it's white. And I don't like that, you guys. If I'm going to do a flutter sleeve, I want the underside to have the same pattern, the same colors, the same vibrancy and everything as the upper fabric, or at the very least, not be so, I guess, obvious that it is the wrong side of the fabric. And so I knew I wasn't going to be able to cut out the flutter pieces twice or whatever. And so I just didn't try at all. Now, in terms of the fabric, I picked this one up, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago in South Florida. I had met Diana and Johanna for the first time, and they took me to a mom and pop shop called A to Z Fabrics. And I saw this baby and I loved it. I loved it. I loved the colors. I loved the floral. And even though it was a knit, I was like, come on, Kris. Come on, Kris. Pull up your big girl panties. You can absolutely do this. And so I grabbed it, came home, washed it, put it in my stash, and that was it. Did not pull her out again. But when I was looking at this pattern, I was like, ooh, maybe this fabric would be perfect. And I love how this fabric looks on my body. Definitely my color jam. Definitely in my color season. Now, in case you don't know, I am a Twilight Winter and I am an ambassador for Color Guru. So if you wanted to get your colors done, we're coming up to Christmas. You might want to do that as your gift to yourself for Christmas. Then be sure to go ahead and use my code. It's called On Social. I'll pop it here on the screen and that will save you guys 10% off your color consultation. Now, I know color consultations are quite pricey, but look at it as an investment in yourself. I sure did, because when I got my colors done, I paid full dollar for my consultation. It wasn't gifted to me. I didn't get a discount. I went all in, and it was after I had done it and loved the results that I became an ambassador. Anyways, back to the Ellie and Mac pattern. Now, when I was sewing up this pattern, you guys, I was super frustrated. I hated it. My serger wasn't playing ball with the fabric. She kept bunching up the threads every time I tried to finish off my seams. And I was like, oh, I wanted to scream and have a complete meltdown here on live. But in the end, I was able to persevere. I did construct most of this dress using my machine and a zigzag stitch, even though for argument's sake, as a knit pattern, I probably could have constructed the entire thing or almost the entire thing on my serger, but I wasn't about to take that chance and then have my stitches doing funny things when I was wearing my dress. I was not about that life. So I did do zigzag stitches first, and then I was trying to go back in and finish off my seams with the serger, even though I didn't have to. I like the inside of my garment to look just as nice as the outsides, but she was putting me through the ringer, you guys. In the end, I got most of the skirt constructed on the live, and I had gotten the darts in for my bodice and I had managed to do the shoulder seams. But I decided to quit while I was kind of ahead because the next step would have been to go and introduce the neckband. And because this is a V-neck, the neckband has to be sewn in a particular way, and I was not about to completely embarrass myself on sewing live after it had already been a pretty rough session. So I ended the live and I thought I was going to put this dress to the side, give it some time in, time out, and then come back and try it again. I did not. I came off that live, I made a cup of tea, left the cup of tea on the counter, came back to work on this dress, forgot that I made the cup of tea, finished off the neckline, and then when I got up from my chair, I was like, ooh, my tea is cold, you guys. Does anybody else get like that? Like when you're working on something, you get like super laser focused and you want it done. And I wanted it done. And I was like, if I put this dress down, she might end up in my unfinished objects pile and she might not make it out. She really might not. And it's no fault of the pattern at all. It is a really great pattern. It all boils down to user error. I'm just not that good with using knit fabrics. I'm getting a little bit better. The more I push myself, the more I try. But I will never ever love sewing knits. I can't see myself loving knit fabrics. I'm just a woven girly. I really am. Now, in terms of rating my make, I'm going to go ahead and give this one. It's tricky, you guys. It's tricky because now that the dress is done, I love it. And she fits me so nicely. The one thing I noticed was that the back neckline kind of folds in on itself sometimes, and I'm not sure if I stretched it a little bit too much when I was applying the back neckline or when I was top stitching it, and that is like my only qualm with this finished dress. Every other part of this dress fits me to perfection, and so I'm going to go ahead with that in mind and give this finished dress a 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10. I'm going to take off half a mark for the neckline, and I am going to take off another half a mark because my split is on the wrong side. Everything else is a go, and the dots are a definite plus when it comes to this dress. Now, in terms of rating the making of this dress, I'm going to go ahead and give that like a 6 out of 10 because it was stressful for me. Really stressful. And it didn't help that I was under the microscope because, as I said, people were watching me live trying to construct it. And maybe if I were doing it, you know, the way I regularly sew and maybe, you know, do some clips to come back and report later, maybe it would have been a little bit easier. I'm not sure. But in any event, it was rough. It was rough, but the end product is really worth it. Now, if you like how this pattern looks on me and you want to go ahead and check out this pattern or any other Ellie and Mac pattern, guess what? I am now an Ellie and Mac ambassador. Boom. Yes! Look at that. One ambassadorship fell off the wagon earlier this year. That was my Love Notion ambassadorship. And look at God, you guys. Here I am with a brand new ambassadorship, and I'm super excited. That means completely new patterns to explore. And if the rest of the Ellie and Mac catalog is anything like this pattern, your girl is completely sold. Now, at the time of recording, and hopefully by the time this video goes live, Ellie and Mac are hosting a BOGO buy one get one 50% off pattern sale. I think that goes until the 15th of November if I'm not mistaken, and I'm really hoping that this video is live before the 15th of November so you guys can go and treat yourself to some Ellie and Mac patterns. I will leave my affiliate link down below in the description box. I don't have like an affiliate code. It is an affiliate link. So you click on the link, it will take you to Ellie and Mac patterns and you shop whatever patterns you want. I will earn a small commission if you buy their patterns based on my link, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, it will save you guys a couple extra dollars if you use my affiliate code. So thank you so much in advance for supporting me with this new affiliate opportunity. I'm really looking forward to sewing up more Ellie and Mac patterns, and I want to see you guys try them out as well. If you have been hiding under a rock like I have, obviously, because I only discovered this pattern company this year, then it's time for us to break free and embrace all things Ellie and Mac. It's a good bet, you guys. I can bet my fabric stash that you guys will love these patterns as much as I am. and this is only pattern number 1. So imagine what they have in store and what I will have in store for you guys over the next couple of months as I keep exploring the Ellie and Mac patterns. Now, notwithstanding that I am an affiliate now, all of the opinions are always mine. And I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly as I come across them. I always aim at bringing you guys the real tea, and that doesn't always mean everything is good and hunky-dory. So in the off chance that something doesn't work out quite as nicely as I thought, then you bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to come back and tell you. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, then be sure to go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down below and let me know, what do you think of my finished dress? Were you on that live? Did you see how catastrophic it was when I was trying to construct this pattern? And having witnessed that, don't you think you should give your girl like a little tap on the back for finishing off this dress and finishing it off in an admirable way? At least I think so. Now, if you have gotten this far in today's video and you're not a subscriber, then girl, just go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and you will be alerted every single time I post a video. And it's fun over here. It really, really is a ball. No, that is all I needed to share with you for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging with me. And until next time, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely go check out Ellie and Mac patterns. Peace.